Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat kembali kepada suara kita ni for this special edition Behind the Convention. So this episode series as official podcast partner with the Brunei Young Leaders Convention, in short BYLC. So I'm Fadli, your host for this time. My counterpart Hazman has covered about 2 speakers in the last 2 episodes. So here we are with Ninjatutul. Woo! How are you?
I am good, Alhamdulillah.
Good, Alhamdulillah. I think it's been quite a day, night at the time of this recording. So it's been quite a time. You know, we've seen each other here and there. I know you as Matul, but her being popularly known as Ninjatutul. But beyond the name and, you know, coming in the picture with the Brunei Young Leaders Convention, you are someone who has been involved in youth advocacy beyond just an edu-tainer. So from what I can recall, you were part of Brunei Essex. Now that's how we known each other. And then later on, you took up a stead in your stint as president with Scott. And I think more concurrently being the founder with Project Assalamualaikum, as well as being a teacher. So what else can you just share with what's going on that you're doing currently?
Okay, so just for those who never seen or heard of me, my name is Pg Salimatul Sa'ada, or also known as Matul or Ninjatutul. I'm currently working as an educational psychologist at MOE. Previously, I was a teacher for 3 years, teaching primary English. My background is actually in psychology. That's why I'm now back to my psychology background. And then I started volunteering in 2014 after I finished my degree studies before I pursued my master's. And from there, I got the opportunity to be part of youth programs, both locally and abroad. And that exposure helped me to explore more outside of my comfort zone. And that's how I also discovered Scott. And somehow, less than a year later, I was elected as the president for 3 years. And then I was also part of YEP, the Young Executive Program. And that's where I co-founded Project Assalamualaikum. That's where me, along with 5 other young professionals, co-founded Project Assalamualaikum, which is an initiative which addresses bullying in Brunei Darussalam. And then what else? I think recently I'm more actively involved in content creation on social media, exploring more of my edu-tainer side. So I've been creating content for different companies and products. I've been kena jadikan brand ambassador. Am I supposed to sabut ka?
Ya, boleh. If you don't have any kalian ada halangan, ya boleh diteruskan.
I'm currently the brand ambassador for Simi Vogue.
Wow.
Jangan paksa nak.
You ni ada bawa Simi Vogue ka? Brand ambassador yo.
Yeah, I'm also one of the ambassadors for Progressive Cellular.
Ada kan di bawah barang untuk suara kita ni kali
Jangan lupa. Yeah.
Tapi I mean just iklan sekejap. We did run a workshop sama Progressive on running our podcasting workshop together with the team kan.
Progressive is very supportive of youth. That's what
There's your brand ambassador.
So at the moment, I've been exploring a lot of things outside of my comfort zone, like being part of shoots, and then also stand-up comedy. And then recently, Jua was drama under BATS theatrics.
So that's the Brunei Amateur Dramatic Society. Yeah. Yeah, being bad at, well, being good. Being you. Thank you for sharing that breadth and spectrum of what Ninjatutul means beyond just, I suppose, the personal brand, the identity that brings you or being more well known as an edutainer. And that's great to have that awareness, Chua, where you yourself, I think, has my observation brings this mesh of both creativity and education, especially that admirable sense of bringing about an anti-bullying project, which is a very pertinent issue, Joa. And hopefully something you as a mentor would bring up Kalia during the upcoming Brunei Young Leaders Convention. But just to recap, today sebenarnya our episode is actually part of a series. This is actually the third episode behind the convention, so we wanted to get to know the people behind them, organizers and mentors included. So one being with Ninjatutul or Matul. I think coming on to what you said earlier, and maybe just a bit briefly, I wanted to expand more on the education part of you. So we talked about wanting to nitpick a part of you that could fit in this whole Wawasan picture. And I will go into that in a bit, where I want you to literally draw a certain picture, but I will come back to that. So being an edutainer, and in our conversations sebenarnya before this, there's this perspective that you want to hold, not of being sort of an influencer for good, and that's what an edutainer that you wanted to bring about. Maybe can you tell us more about this part of you, how you want to, well, spread the love with your edutainment content creation, and how important is that to you?
Okay. I feel that actually the term edutainer is something that I discovered about maybe 2 years ago, 2019, when I started. Because the term influencer, when it was started to be more commonly used, I started to ask, like, what does it mean to be an influencer? And that time, like, there were no like benchmark. There's no like proper definition of what an influencer is. So for me, like, the term itself is something that you don't call yourself. It's something that people give.
Yeah. So it's an action base.
It's an action base. Yeah. So if people are really influenced by what you say, what you do, then you are an influencer to them. You don't call yourself.
True.
So going back to your question, I feel that I like to educate, but at the same time, I want to make sure that it's fun. Because like in schools, most of the time maybe yeah. So because usually it's very academically based, and sometimes you pull out the humor from it. But for me, like, sense of humor is very important because it helps you go through tough times. And then, if you combine that with education, so you receive a lot more, I guess. So I guess what I want to do with my edutainer side is to benefit others in terms of giving ilmu while at the same time making them happy.
Sure. Just a slight pivot a bit, something a bit fun, just to take the opportunity to share. What's been the most fun experience you've had being an edutainer in these past few years that you've done this?
I think the most memorable one so far is when my video yang Munahaterz itu, when it got viral unexpectedly, especially about the sampah one, and then somehow not long after the video went viral, someone actually sent me a video of that particular kampung having cleaning campaign. Seriously, so I was like, serious ke ni? Sekali macam, macam, and the person who forwarded me the video happened to live in the area. So
Ada reaction lah.
Yeah, macam jarang ni nya, mana ni nya. Actually from your video, I said, are you sure it's from my video? So, sekali I actually, not long after that, I actually had a project di sana. And then I met with one of the, not exactly imam, someone from the masjid lah. I don't remember yang punya jawatan apa. Tapi macamnya, are you the one ka yang dalam video tu nya? Buat lagi. I was like, serious ka? Macam, why do people like that, macam, angry video? Macam, I guess people relate to it and also they find it funny but also educational at the same time. So I find that very amusing, macam, because I thought Munahaterz is a character that not many would like because of her anger management issues. Jadi macam orang terpakai itu pulang. So I guess people have this anger vented inside of them. Tapi macam sudah melihat si Munahaterz macam, oh my god, this is exactly how I feel.
So Munahaterz is your inner angst / apanya orang mascot, angry mascot for Brunei, or your angry interpreter of Brunei.
Yeah, and then macam unexpectedly, like some teachers even gambar, they use it as a learning material in school. Seriously, like masa dorang launching environmental day.
So you're literally part of the curriculum now.
Oh my god, so funny. Macam serious ka dorang ni jali jo macam mana bolehnya the launching.
So I will get into the topic in a bit. So you can see, what do you see right in front of me? Ooh, what do you think when you're gonna do with that?
Draw.
Exactly. Ding 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 ding. So we have a small task for Matul. So sebenarnya what we wanted to do, so coming back into this full picture of how you as an individual, as an edu-tainer and a passionate educator, how do you draw out your picture of Wawasan 2035? Yeah. So I'm gonna give you that task. While you're drawing, I'll be asking you some questions.
Wait, so I'm supposed to draw Wawasan 2035?
I mean, not literally, but your own vision of it.
You mean as a whole?
It could be anything. We've had YB Swandi's drawing. We've had Loki's drawing. So if you can see behind the scenes, there's his own drawing there, which we'll share on, which we will show more clearly to the audience on the side. Tapi you cannot copy that lah. So I'll leave you creative. Like how you've been so emotionally creative with Munahaterz, I'm sure you can come up with something. So here are 4 markers, 4 colors. Dipersilakan. While you're busy thinking about that, broadly speaking, I wanted to connect back to that experience. I think it's really awesome to have this cause and effect. What you did actually made something happen. If I had to root back to the classroom, what did you think of describing today's students in general? You yourself are a teacher, and what are your impressions of it, Masanya?
Impressions of students. Well, I guess my point of view is limited to the school that I've taught in before. So there are differences between private school students and government school students. Kalau private school students, they're more into gadgets and devices. They're more well-versed in technology. So like masa COVID happened and we had to transition to virtual learning, I can see that private school students, they easily adapt to it. But government school students, especially, limited to my school lah. I don't know about other schools, but I feel that it's a bit hard to adapt to the change because not all students have the proper facilities and infrastructure at home to do virtual learning. And then the differences jua is I feel that children nowadays are more opinionated. They're not afraid to speak their minds. But in government, it still, I think, needs more help in that lah. I guess they need more exposure in terms of public speaking, forming opinions. I think mesti dibiasakan bercakap lah, expressing their own opinions. Because like I can see the differences between the students that I teach and those that yang lain lah. So the students that I teach, because I taught them since pra, so they're very talkative. So macam just to give an example, macam like when I was teaching the word peace, what does peace mean? And then they said, dorang antam-antam lah awal-awal. Sekali I gave example. I said, for example, Brunei Darussalam is so peaceful. There are not many bad guys. So I have to use simple English lah kan. Sekali they said, aman damai. I said, yes, lurus. And then one of my kids was like, aman damai sekarang. Banyak je kes curi masa ni. I was like, benar pulang.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so I was like, benar pulang. I mean, that's true. Yeah. So like, those are the types of, for me, skills that you need to nurture lah among kids. Benar pulang. Kadang-kadang ngalih pulang melayan kanak-kanak banyak cakapan ni. Tapi it's good for them because they get to be more confident in sharing opinions lah. Yeah.
Benar pulang tu. So dengan kanak-kanak pun ni, dorang ni dapat tapis. But it makes it more, I guess, where I've read somewhere, it's more cognitively flexible for them to just kind of learn and take in things like a piece of sponge lah, I suppose. And like all things, with I acknowledge infrastructure-wise and the different cultures of different schools, mungkin rintangan itu is a bit different, that differs for others. But I wanted to circle back in terms of what the potential could be, as everyone has great potential, as we know the saying can. We wanted to see how any students in any classrooms playing their role in, I suppose, what you're trying to draw. What potential sebenarnya that students can play more in achieving wawasan in your perspective?
How
students can play in their role in wawasan? Potential. We were trying to kind of bring about what their potential could be.
I think kalau looking at primary school students lah, what they can do is to for teachers to actively engage the students in terms of like sharing the current issues, and then what do they think of the current issues. Macam tadi yang my students dia cakap banyak pelang kes curi masa ni. So like what the teacher can do is macam, okay, so let's elaborate on that point. Kenapa banyak kes curi masa ni? You know, macam, and then it makes the students think macam, kenapa banyak kes curi ah? Is it because dorang indah kena ajar, ataupun dorang nada keraja, ataupun macam ni gitu, or ada influence dari luar ke apakah. So macam it it starts a conversation, and then you can also teach them to come up with solutions. At a young age, actually, these kids boleh tu sebenarnya. They're very creative sebenarnya kalau we keep on nurturing lah. So I guess macam from that young age, you can start to nurture their critical thinking, and then later translate it into actions. Macam what sort of things can they do? What sort of projects can they do within their own community, within our school, and even start with their own classroom dulu. And then after that, expand it to the whole school, and then to their own home. Itulah.
Actually, I wanted to get into that more. You basically just mentioned an example of how students can actually take action from their classrooms. In your experience, have you seen any real life examples of being able to do that? Just a point of reference, or just even a success story.
Well, this might not be macam directly macam addressing an issue or a problem lah, but it's more like me witnessing my students gaining some soft skills. So my students, the last time before I moved to a different department, no longer teaching, I was teaching year 3 students, and I taught them since pra. And then what I realized when I moved out sudah, that time was Hari Guru, and then it was after COVID lah, macam buka sekolah semula, and then there was no Teachers' Day celebration because of COVID.
Yeah.
Tapi what amazed me that time, and my colleague actually shared pictures, was my students, they initiated their own Teachers' Day celebration in their classroom.
Oh, that's cute.
And they're the only one yang buat ato. And they're year 3. And then macam I said, oh, serious ka? Macam mana dorang buat? They said, two of the girls, they actually asked him, my colleague nya, boleh ka dorang macam celebrate Teachers' Day di kelas saja for guru-guru dorang. And then mana saja makanan apa cuma nak. And then they said they're gonna tell their parents to help bawakan makanan. And they actually brought food. And they susun kelas.
Yeah.
And then they panggil teachers masuk. And then masa rehat teachers makan dalam kelas lah. It was so heartwarming because like I taught them since pra. So that type of confidence is exactly what we need in our children.
I like where this conversation is going, because we were always talking about Wawasan 2025. So directly translating that's vision lata. If I could just rephrase this question a bit, I think for you as an advocate and as teachers all around, I think we take this chance to thank you for your efforts. It's been some of the most difficult jobs, especially during COVID ani kan, to be able to adapt, to be able to commit to learning, but not just learning, but also kind of inculcating these sort of values. And as an advocate yourself, teacher or otherwise, or Ninjatutul, how do you imagine yourself kind of moving, kind of overreaching further on executing that goal, on how to inculcate those kind of values like you see in your year 3 students?
You mean now that I'm no longer teaching ka?
Either way, whether or not you're a teacher or being Ninjatutul or Munahaterz punya persona. Moving forward, or maybe in your recent work, like how do you want to maintain this change of inculcating good values?
Okay. I think that's why I'm using my social media right now as a platform to actually spread positivity and good values. As simple as macam if you notice me, how I like to use those ugly filters. Not ugly lah, chali. Silly filters. People sometimes macam, kau berani macam makai filter cuma tu. Macam, nakatakot ka na ucap ka. I was like the message that I want to put across is for you to embrace yourself for who you are. Embrace that silly side of you. Kalau orang sasak-sasak, napakan. Yeah. But, I mean, yang penting you're happy with yourself. And there are people out there that believes in what you do jua and can relate to you, and they feel that you've made their day apa. So I feel that itulah using my social media platform, I guess. But also I would wanna engage more closely, so that's why I'm also mentoring some teams to conduct their own projects.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think with values come with, I suppose, the tools to be able to execute them. I think for you, you've been able to, over your journey, being able to do that, whether or not it's your passion, you learned it along the way. I just wanted to pivot a bit because we wanted to talk more about your passion here as an educator, and I suppose skills would be something really important. So with Bruneians and moving ahead, what any specific set skills would you think would apply to the example that you set, or this or students, or just the community being able to take up certain skills yang penting lah to be able to execute that vision or passion? What do you think those skills should be?
Skills for them to be able to execute their passion.
Well, coming back to Wawasan, kan? Wawasan could be many things, good things. Yours, for example, could be more on the creative end, and that doesn't come, I guess, without your own prior experience, you can.
I feel the number one skill we all should have is, it's not exactly a skill, maybe much more like a characteristic, is self-confidence, I would say.
That's true.
That's the important thing.
I remember when we met Verve, right? And we were catching up. I was afraid of, actually, even before suara kita ni, I was afraid of just putting myself out there, making a fool of myself. I mean, Munahaterz is on a different level.
Yeah, I guess again, like, it goes back to self-confidence. For me, it goes back to knowing yourself very, very knowing yourself very well lah. Like, understanding.
What do you mean by that?
Like, understanding your flaws, embracing them rather than being embarrassed by them, and then, like, tapi macam you have a growth mindset basically lah. Macam you know you have flaws and you can work on them. You can actually improve on them. Kalaupun hindi dapat, so what? You still have other kelebihan.
Yeah.
So you need to hone on those strengths rather than focus on your weaknesses. And then I feel that with self-confidence, Joy, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people and those who actually have, who actually appreciate and believe in you lah.
Totally.
Yeah, so macam, like myself, I did not start off like this. Like, if you've seen me in high school, well, from primary school, I was a very confident kid lah, because my parents and my teachers macam banar-banar sayang lah dulu tu. Tapi after I went to my high school, that's when my self-esteem, self-confidence dropped. But then it was my circle of friends that time that made me macam embrace my silly side. Macam they've seen my video masa tu, dorang kecalian. I was like, jangan lihat. And then macam dorang, cali. Macam, okay, cali rupanya. Macam, I am funny. Lol. Yeah. Sekali macam, okay, ada orang terpakai rupanya my sense of humor. I thought macam, you know. And then macam, ani lagi pas Munahaterz, and then when people started to macam, cali je tu, macam, it's actually helpful, macam blah blah blah. I was like, and then I started to expose myself to things outside of my comfort zone. I started to make myself vulnerable, blah blah blah. And then that's how I slowly gained confidence. And then macam, so no matter how much, kalau ada orang haters ke apa, saying bad things about you, if you know yourself better than them, like, they hardly know you kan. Macam like, you hardly even know me, like you. I know myself better, so macam you don't care what other people say lah.
I like that point that you did on growth mindset. Gives people some individual sense of continuity juga. Being able to continually learn, apply those skills, and you know how important is that. I think you kind of explained why is that, especially self-confidence and how you achieve that. Coming back to Wawasan, can I see you have some good drawings there?
Boleh lah.
Ada je lah interrelated with our conversation. Yeah. We'll come back to that. I think beyond growth, beyond self-confidence, do you think, in just imagining if we have our BYLC audience nanti next month, what do you think would be most important that they can focus on in being able to contribute? I think you mentioned one good skill there, self-confidence. But in terms of like contribution to a specific area that you feel it's important for nation building, what do you think that could be?
I think another step after self-confidence, which is self-development. Because by self-development, I mean macam you exposing yourself to different opportunities and experiences, just trying to build your own capacity lah. Because when you put yourself out of your comfort zone and then you start meeting new people, that's when you get to open up your mind further,
Yeah.
broaden up your perspective apa. And then that's when you start to get to understand other people's punya problems, the current issues. Like when I started to contohnya lah when I started involving myself in volunteering, for example. And then that's when I started to understand macam kenapa community ni cuman ya, kenapa cuman ya, macam kenapa banyak rupanya ada poverty di Brunei ni. Something macam tu. So, things that you've never thought ada di Brunei, because us being Bruneians macam we're blessed with free education, free healthcare and things like that. So we tend to take things for granted.
Yeah.
Some of us, including myself, masa tu lah. And then only after I exposed myself to volunteering, and then I met with ASEAN youth, other ASEAN youth, and then they talk about their struggles in their own countries, and I'm like, oh my gosh, macam I don't even know what's happening in Brunei macam. And then that's what made me want to get to know Brunei further, mau contribute what I can, macam try to do something. But at first awal-awal tu I started growing myself dulu lah, macam building skills dulu in public speaking, in managing projects, by being part of a committee tiap. And baru lepas itu baru berani to lead projects, like starting up project Assalamualaikum, for example, leading Scott. If I never exposed myself dulu to volunteering, I wouldn't be here.
And that's like what, all in the span of five years? Yeah, about 5 years. And climbed up real fast. Being part of committees, being a former president yourself, and running your own project. Yeah, must be proud of yourself.
Alhamdulillah.
Moving forward, any expectations that you have for yourself once you're there in Temurong, facing all the BYLC young leaders?
To be honest, I'm looking forward to speak alongside Aja Zainab, because she's my inspirasi since 2014. Because I joined the Young Project Managers Program 2014. And then she was one of the speakers, and I was very inspired by her since then. So it's really an honor to be speaking alongside her. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to speak nanti. Macam medyo starstruck saja. Cakap dah.
I mean, it's funny. People see you as a mentor, but you yourself find being inspired, still being inspired by others.
Yeah, I'm still inspired by youth yang baru-baru menceburi juga. Because for me macam that drive, kadang-kadang kita ni when we're doing it for a long time, lama-lama macam kira battery itu makin low. But once you see more youth macam iski, more enthusiastic, motivated, kita ni pun macam the energy itu addictive lah. Macam addictive. Bukan, apa perkataannya tu? Infectious.
Infectious. I was gonna say fulfilling, but okay.
Okay. Mendengar sebenarnya. Yeah, infectious. So macam kita ni pun ikut-ikut je macam inspiring juga ya. Macam when I was at that age macam masih syok sendiri macam tu.
Alright. We're nearing to wrapping up. Yeah, we're nearing to wrapping up my wrap-up questions. Don't worry, I need not forget the drawing that you've been drawing earlier. You finished it quite earlier. Maybe let's do a show and tell. Matel, can you explain what that is?
Okay, let's start with the middle one. So I see Wawasan 2035 as us having Bruneians being very confident, innovative, positive. Yeah. Kira macam very driven to contribute to the society, make changes, and nation building lah.
I like the symbolism.
And then next one is kira green. So I envision that with Wawasan, it helps us to be more environmentally conscious, more clean, more hygienic. Itulah, so that's why ada macam daun and then kilat-kilat kira bersih lah tu. And then last one is this one. Basically like for me, I wanted to draw duit tadi sebenarnya, like saying macam economically sustainable whatever. Tapi for me, sometimes macam we focus too much on monetary, apa tu namanya? Duit lah duit. Tapi for me, like what makes a nation successful is the citizens that are happy, emotionally well, good well-being lah basically. So macam good well-being and also spiritually.
It just sounds like you've just drew Wawasan goal 1, Wawasan goal 2. Well, kind of.
Is it? Oh.
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. It's like a nice pictorial of basically what Wawasan means to you, Lata. Yeah, and I like how that kind of just wrapped up what you basically surmise what you just said about self-confidence, growth, about a clean environment, and being a heartfelt, meaningful community juga. I think since we're nearing the end, and I think we talked a lot towards the end about the Brunei Young Leaders Convention, your own expectations. Like I'm actually pretty excited to listen to Puan Haja Zainab juga. And being able to be part of a really wonderful panel. I remember, I think dalam 2 tahun lalu my first BYLC pun I became a moderator and the calang-calang the speakersnya, and it's something to look forward to. That I think just earlier on we talked about your own impressions or your expectations. You said you didn't have any like expectations. But feeling maybe just to put some words, just words of wisdom to our young leaders who are attending. Anything of advice or on how they should prepare themselves for the upcoming convention?
How they should prepare themselves? I think
what kind of homework like you want to do? Ciga.
I think yang penting that motivation, semangat itu mesti ada, so that when you come there with an open mind, macam you'll be more excited to ask questions. So coming up to the second one, come up with a lot of questions, good constructive, critical questions lah. Palagi tu and maybe like if you have some projects in mind, you can also pitch them to us ka. I would love to hear what you have in mind lah, macam on what your opinions are about the current issues in Brunei and how we can improve it and do it together lah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty apt. I think constructive questions and pitch projects and their ideas about the current state of Brunei. Yeah, I agree. Attending with so many forums is good to just have your homework on who's attending, so you can just check out on the website more details in the link, and just being able to share your own insights, whether you're someone from Temburong or doing your own small business, and bring that into a conversation with the upcoming convention. Yeah. Amatul, you got anything else to add?
Nada. Just have fun during the conference, because fun always wins.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank you. I know it's been a long day at this time of recording. Apologize kalau ada any weaknesses from our end. But also, I look forward and congratulate in advance for the preparation that we'll all have nanti in this upcoming convention. So check that out, Brunei Young Leaders Convention. That'll be held on 23rd to 25th of March at the PKBN building in Temburong. So for those who are interested, registration is still open. Well, it's still open. And in any case, any final words from everyone? Anyone at the back? No, Papa. Matul, I think we've had a good conversation. What do you feel right now? Maybe kan tidur kali lapar kali
Baru makan. Okay. I just want to say thank you, Jo Sora kita ni, for having me here. And I like how it's so chill. Keep it up. I think lain kala macam speakers lain professional kali. I'm the only one yang macam ni kali.
Pasal my energy kali je.
Macam dua-dua lamah macam tu.
Macam itulah. Tapi yang penting semangat di dalam hati. Well, meaning the next day lah. Semangat lah tu masih kuat lah. I have no idea this is gonna go into the final cut. Bye-bye. Okay. On a serious note, sekali lagi terima kasih for anyone tuning in for Suara Kita Ni. This has been Behind the Convention with Ninjatutul Mata Rosali. It's been an honor. Rosali. Betul kata Rosali?
Rosel. Tapi dia belum pakai lagi.
Ya kah? Okay. Ninjatutul. Nama glamour dan nama rasmi for today. Yeah. My name's Fadli, your host. And we'll check you out in the next episode of Suara Kita Ni for Behind the Convention. For all the rest of our episodes, to check that out as well. Thanks. And with that, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.